Ever wondered about the wisdom behind the Proverbs in the Bible? You know, those sayings we often hear but don't always understand fully. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Train up a child in the way he should go, or a soft answer turns away wrath. We've all heard them, but where do these ancient words come from? And why do they still guide us today? The Book of Proverbs is one of the oldest collections of wisdom, written by King Solomon, one of the Bible's most famous figures. His words have stood the test of time, shaping moral principles, guiding decision-making, and influencing generations. But the question is, why are they still so powerful today? How did these sayings become so deeply ingrained in our lives? You might think Proverbs are just simple life lessons, but there's so much more to them. These aren't just pithy quotes. Many of these sayings are rooted in real-life situations, battles of faith, and moments of profound spiritual insight. And if we look closely, we realize that some of the meanings we've been taught aren't exactly what the original wisdom intended. Let's take a moment to really think about this. What if I told you that some of the most famous proverbs we know today were born out of the challenges, triumphs, and sometimes even the tragedies of those who lived in biblical times? What if the lessons King Solomon imparted were far more layered than we thought? Today, we're going to peel back the layers of these well-known proverbs and uncover the real stories behind them. You'll learn where they came from, how they evolved, and why they're more relevant now than ever before. Some of these proverbs will surprise you, like how they reflect the complexities of human nature and the depth of our relationship with God. Stick with me, and by the end of this, you might see the Proverbs in a whole new light. They're not just ancient words, they're timeless lessons that can still transform the way we live, think, and relate to the world. So, let's get started and uncover the hidden wisdom of Proverbs, as you've never seen it before. Before we dive into the meanings of the Proverbs, let's step back in time and explore where they came from. Are these ancient words simply born from everyday life, or do they have deeper, more profound origins? Proverbs have always been an essential part of human wisdom, whether in the form of stories, teachings, or lessons learned from life's struggles and triumphs. In the Bible, Proverbs hold a unique place. They didn't just appear from nowhere. The Book of Proverbs itself is a collection of wisdom, written primarily by King Solomon, known for his unmatched wisdom. These teachings weren't random thoughts, but reflections on life, faith, and the human condition. They were formed through centuries of experiences, challenges, and divine inspiration. But the interesting part is, were these proverbs also influenced by ancient cultures around Israel? Did wisdom from other civilizations shape the words we read in Scripture today? To put it in perspective, let's look at other cultures and their own timeless proverbs. Take the famous Chinese proverb, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." This saying, which comes from ancient Chinese wisdom, speaks to a universal truth, that every great achievement begins with a small, humble beginning. Though the Bible doesn't directly mention this, the principle is very much in line with proverbs like, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance," Proverbs 21:5. Both point to the importance of taking that first step, no matter how daunting the path may seem. Now, let's think about the ancient Greeks. Philosophers like Socrates and Aristotle were known for shaping much of Western thought, with their teachings becoming the basis of countless proverbs and wisdom sayings. Picture a young Socrates wandering the streets of Athens, stopping anyone who would listen to share a thought-provoking piece of advice. These small pieces of wisdom, spoken during everyday encounters, soon became part of the philosophical landscape and were passed down through generations. They didn't just appear from nowhere. They were lessons born from real-life situations. Similarly, the wisdom found in Proverbs was born from real experiences. King Solomon, who reigned in ancient Israel, wasn't just a figure of wisdom by title. His insights were formed through his rule, through the challenges of leading a nation, and through the divine guidance he received. But the Bible doesn't stop at simply offering wise sayings. Many proverbs reflect lessons that were learned the hard way through trials and tests. For example, Proverbs 3:11-12 says, "My son, do not despise the Lord's discipline, and do not resent his rebuke, because the Lord disciplines those he loves, as a father the son he delights in." This isn't just wisdom on paper. This is wisdom born from the real experience of a father teaching his son based on the lessons he's learned. And here's where things get really interesting. These proverbs are more than just wise sayings. They carry with them the lived experiences of the Israelites, their struggles, their victories, and their relationship with God. King Solomon wasn't just offering advice based on abstract theories. He was offering counsel born from the context of Israel's history, the highs and lows of their faith, and the challenges of building a kingdom. As we look closer, it becomes clear that these proverbs weren't just shaped by abstract philosophies. They are lessons crafted through the real-life stories of the people of Israel, stories of triumph and failure, stories of faith tested by hardship. These lessons were passed down to help guide generations through life's challenges, showing them how to live wisely in the world God created. But as we begin to understand the origins of Proverbs, a deeper question emerges. What happens when these proverbs aren't just words of wisdom? They're lived experiences that were meant to shape hearts and minds for generations to come? Let's look at how the real-life stories behind these proverbs reveal deeper meanings that still resonate today. Let's take a famous proverb we all know. Curiosity killed the cat. It's a phrase we often hear to warn against the dangers of being overly inquisitive. But did you know the original version wasn't quite so grim? The full phrase was actually, curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. This version, used in the late 16th century, carried a deeper meaning. While curiosity could get you into trouble, it also held the promise of great rewards. The phrase originated in England, where it was used to remind people that the pursuit of knowledge and the desire to learn could lead to both risks and rewards. In other words, curiosity wasn't just something to be wary of, it was something that could bring about unexpected discoveries, even if it led to a little trouble along the way. Now, let's consider another proverb that's been passed down through the generations. Don't cry over spilled milk. We've all heard this one, usually to console someone who's upset over something minor or uncontrollable. But the story behind this saying goes back to the 17th century, when it was coined by farmers who needed to remind others not to waste time worrying about things that couldn't be undone. Picture a farmer in the early morning, accidentally knocking over a bucket of milk. He couldn't afford to waste a moment grieving over the mishap. The lesson he passed on to others? Move on and focus on what you can control. The proverb has survived for centuries because it speaks to a universal truth. Regret doesn't fix mistakes. What matters is what you do next. Similarly, proverbs in the Bible often contain stories wrapped in simple phrases. Take, for instance, the famous, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom," Proverbs 9:10. This isn't just a teaching about piety. It's rooted in a deeper, cultural understanding of how reverence and respect for God unlock a life of understanding. Solomon's wisdom wasn't just about book knowledge. It was forged in the fiery trials of leadership, in the experience of seeing both the rise and fall of kings, and in understanding the highs and lows of human nature. Sometimes, the stories behind these proverbs come from unexpected places. Take, for instance, a saying from India, "When the ear is ready, the mouth speaks." In Western culture, we might say, "Speak when you're ready," or "Think before you speak." But in India, this proverb emphasizes the importance of patience and preparation. It suggests that wisdom is only valuable when we've listened, learned, and truly understood. It's a reminder that words have power, but they are only impactful when spoken at the right time, after careful consideration. The beauty of Proverbs, whether they come from the Bible or other traditions, is that they carry stories that speak to universal human experiences. They are rooted in the real world, in moments of struggle, decision-making, and learning. Proverbs give us a glimpse into the values and wisdom of the people who lived before us. Whether it's a farmer's lesson on spilled milk or a king's wisdom on fearing God, these sayings have survived for generations because they resonate with something fundamental about how we navigate life. To bring these stories to life, we could visualize these proverbs with engaging animations. Imagine a farmer on a windswept morning, wiping away his frustration as he moves on from a spilled bucket of milk. Or picture a philosopher standing before a bustling crowd, delivering wisdom that would change the course of thought for generations. These visual scenarios would give life to the proverbs, turning abstract ideas into relatable, vivid stories. And it's not just about the past. These proverbs continue to shape the way we live today. They offer timeless guidance, often coming from moments of hardship, insight, or unexpected revelation. As we look at the stories behind the proverbs, it becomes clear that they aren't just quaint sayings. They are keys to understanding human nature, and they still offer wisdom that we can apply to our daily lives. Now, let's talk about the real fun part. You've probably heard these sayings your whole life, but did you know they might mean more than what you've been taught? Proverbs may seem simple at first glance, but often there's so much more beneath the surface. Some of them carry lessons we've only scratched the surface of, and understanding their true meanings can completely change the way we live. Take the well-known saying, "Rome wasn't built in a day." We all know it teaches patience, right? It's a classic lesson in waiting for success to unfold. But let's dig a bit deeper. The Romans didn't just wait around for their empire to grow. They built it with intention, brick by brick, over centuries. The phrase doesn't just mean wait patiently, it's also about putting in consistent, focused effort over time. If the Romans had rushed their progress, would they have created one of the greatest empires in history? Probably not. This saying is about more than patience. It's about taking time to build something with purpose and planning. Success, like Rome, takes deliberate effort, not just time. Now, think about the proverb, "What goes around comes around." We hear this everywhere, usually in relation to karma. But the truth is, this saying goes beyond just a simple cause and effect idea. It's about the cycles of life, how the energy you put into the world doesn't just disappear, it comes back in ways you might not expect. Imagine a stone thrown into a lake. The ripples spread much wider than the stone itself, affecting the entire surface of the water. Similarly, the energy you send out, whether positive or negative, ripples out and impacts the world around you. This isn't just about what you give is what you get. It's a reminder of how everything is connected, and how our actions have far-reaching consequences. Sometimes Proverbs also carry lessons we might overlook, and that's where personal stories come in. A few years ago, I was dealing with a tough decision, whether to take a big leap and start a new project or stay in my comfort zone. A friend reminded me of the proverb, "He who hesitates is lost." At first, I thought it was just another push to take action quickly, but the more I thought about it, I realized the deeper meaning. Hesitation doesn't just delay things, it can result in missed opportunities. I took the leap, and it paid off. On the flip side, hesitation can lead to regret. This proverb wasn't just a call to action. It was a stark reminder that life doesn't wait for anyone. But not every proverb is a gentle lesson. Some carry warnings, even harsh truths. Take, "He who hesitates is lost." It sounds pretty extreme, doesn't it? It originally came from military strategy, where hesitation in battle could cost lives. In battle, a second's delay can be the difference between victory and defeat. The phrase wasn't just a life lesson, it was a matter of life and death. While we often use it in more casual contexts, its origins remind us that sometimes timing is everything. When an opportunity is on the line, hesitation can cost us far more than we realize. So, what's the big deal? How do these ancient words still apply to us in a world that's radically different from the past? You might think that in today's fast-paced digital world, these proverbs are out of touch. But the truth is, they're more relevant than ever. They're life's cheat codes, simple truths that cut through the noise and offer guidance in any age. Take, "The early bird catches the worm." In today's world of social media, instant gratification, and always-on communication, this proverb takes on a whole new layer. It's not just about waking up early, it's about being proactive, setting the tone for your day before anyone else. In the digital age, it's a reminder to get ahead of the competition, whether it's in business, career, or personal life. It's about seizing opportunities early, taking that first step and staying ahead of the curve. So, maybe it's not just about getting up at 5 a.m. It's about being ready to make things happen before the world even starts moving. Even in today's rapid-fire world, proverbs are still a steady guide. Take, "You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink." How many times have we faced situations in relationships or at work where we want to help others, but ultimately it's up to them to take action? This saying reminds us that no matter how much we invest in someone else's success, they must choose to act for themselves. We can lead, we can teach, we can provide opportunities, but the final decision to take action is always theirs. This timeless truth holds just as much value in modern business or personal relationships as it did centuries ago. As we move through an ever-changing world, these proverbs offer timeless lessons that apply to every stage of life. Whether we're making big decisions, facing challenges, or trying to navigate relationships, These ancient words are still as powerful and relevant as ever. They're more than just quaint phrases. They're insights that continue to guide us, no matter how much the world around us changes. So next time you hear a proverb, don't just take it at face value. Think about where it came from, why it's endured for so long, and how it applies to your life today. Proverbs aren't just catchy phrases, they're stories, pieces of wisdom, and guides that have stood the test of time. They carry with them the weight of history, lessons learned through real-life experiences, and principles that can still shape the way we live. Which proverb has made the biggest impact on your life? I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let's talk about the wisdom that's been passed down through the ages. Maybe one of these sayings has changed the way you approach a challenge, or helped you make a decision in your own life. And if you want to learn more hidden meanings behind common sayings, or dive deeper into the fascinating world of ancient wisdom, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Trust me, we've got more amazing stories coming your way, and you won't want to miss them.